Hey guys, welcome back. I'm going to do a little video for you guys today of me going through what I use on a daily basis in all of my tackle boxes, the things that I have access to down here in Southern California. For those of you that are in the middle United States, so Texas, all those states, that bass fishing is actually a huge thing. You have a lot more supplies than we do. It's slim pickings out here in SoCal, and it's rough. Because I have two stores I can go to, and one is, what, 40 miles away?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's rough. Oh, by the way, this is my wife, Tariana.
Hello.
She will be in a lot of the videos, like I said before, so you used to see that pretty face, and stay back. Alright, so we're going to start with what I have set up for tomorrow. I am actually going to be fishing what I guess what I would call my home park.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's El Dorado Park here in Long Beach. I go there
a lot.
Yeah, because it's a 5-minute drive down the freeway.
It's convenient.
So, what I have rigged up on this... So this is a Shakespeare agility rod. It's a 7-foot medium heavy action with a fast taper. It's a great rod. It actually was a combo that I bought at Dick's Sporting Goods, and the reel was trash. It started working out towards the end, but it garbage. It seized up. It wasn't working right. So I actually got this Cast King Stealth. It was a gift from my dad. So I put that on here and it is perfect. It's got a really fast retrieve. It's got an 11+1 ball bearing, so it's moving pretty quick. It's actually got a, let's see here, a 7:1 gear ratio. So it's screaming killing that kid. So great for swim baits like I have rigged up on here. This is actually a brand new bait I just picked up last week. Alright, so this is actually a Storm GT 360 swim bait. I'm not sure on the color of this. It's a clear color with some gold and black flake. The best thing about this, especially for this time of the year, the pre-spawn, it's got a really slow action. So most swim baits you see has a really fast tail action. This is kind of slow. One downside, it does kind of topple from left to right. The whole thing kind of moves rather than just the tail. But I really like the jig head. There's actually a rattle in the jig head, which you don't see very often with swim baits normally. So, and this is a 1 or 1/4 ounce. So it works great. Make sure if you do go buy these, do not buy a different jig head because it will not fit. The swim baits are cut specifically to be with this jig head. So just a word of the wise on that because it will not fit and you'll be pissed.
It almost has a salt and pepper look to it.
Yeah, and like I said, it has a really good action. It's really great to be used on a fast reel because it's going to come in pretty quick. Sorry, I'm going to take her out at some point with this thing. Or the light in our room. We don't have very high ceilings and this is a 7-foot rod, so yeah, there's that.
It's just a spare room.
This is true until we have a child. Alright, this is kind of my bread and butter. This is the first baitcaster I bought, I believe, right?
No, you bought the one first.
No, I bought the Shakespeare first.
You bought the Shakespeare one first.
Yeah. Lose is a spinning reel. We'll get to that one in the later video. I'm not taking those out tomorrow, so I'm not going to talk about them tonight. Alright, so...
It's baitcaster night.
Yeah, it is baitcaster night. And for those of you guys that bass fish, in my opinion, it's much easier to use a baitcaster. You get a better movement for it. You have better control of the rod because of the way it fits in your hand. You know, you have the whole thing in your hand. So, anyway, this is an Abu Garcia Ultramax combo. I have been really happy with this. I'm currently running 30-pound braid on this rod. It is Suffix 832 Advanced Supreme. I've got this at Bass Pro. It's worked really great. It's the same equivalent to an 8-pound mono. So it works great. It has not backlashed or bird nested at all. It's got a really tight spool on there and it can cast a mile, which is mainly due to the rod. These vintage rods are perfect. I wouldn't mind it being a little bit thicker, maybe having that heavy action rather than a medium heavy, but it's great. It's not a 7-foot, it's a 6'9".
I think so.
Yeah, 6'9". Yeah, the 6'9" medium heavy. Really happy with this, really light. So I'm actually running this little spinnerbait for tomorrow. So tomorrow here in California, in Southern California, we have a high of 58 degrees, which for us Southern Californians is it might as well be snowing. So for those of you that live back east,
over.
Pretty much it did. When it drops below 60 in California, people go nuts. It's like the apocalypse is happening, and we don't know what to do. Take that back. They don't know what to do. You know, my family's from Wisconsin. Granted, I was born here. I can handle the cold. She can handle the cold. We don't do great with heat.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so the summer videos, you're going to see sweat. Just prepare yourself for that. So this is actually my dad's spinner bait that I'll be running tomorrow. he let me borrow it because I do not have a white one. And it's going to be low light tomorrow. We're going to have some cloud coverage. So I was hoping to have a white NSR Truce spinnerbait with gold leaves, just to have a little extra flash in there. But you know what, this will work. I'm going to try it out. So I don't, like I said, I don't have one. All the ones I have are real dark. I believe they're in one of these tackle boxes somewhere. I have so many of them. So we'll get to those in a bit.
I actually have the exact same baitcaster.
She actually does. She has the same baitcaster, the 6'9" medium heavy, but she has a left-hand retrieve because she is used to using a spinning rod She's used to using a spinning rod which has a left-hand retrieve. It was more comfortable for her. I didn't know they came in a left-hand retrieve when I first bought one, and it was right-handed, and I got used to it, so I just kind of stuck with it. So, but best thing about both of the, well, actually the MACBOOK combo is really cost-effective. I think we paid, what, $80 for the whole thing?
Yeah.
They have it in any Dick's Sporting Goods. I'm not sponsored by Dick's, but just throwing it out there. And especially if you live here in the Cerritos, Bellflower, Norwalk area, one of my buddies works there. He'll hook you up. So get into my first tackle box. It's all my lipless crankbaits, jig heads, a few swim baits. The main swim baits that I use, most of them, like I showed you before, is that GT360. These are great. I've only been able to use them one time in the first video that you guys saw. Wasn't that effective, but it was a really bad day to fish. It was windy, the lake was pressured.
It was loud.
Yeah, it will. Well, the loudness so much doesn't affect the fish. It bothers her and me. I mean, when I'm out there fishing, especially here in Southern California, it's very hard to find a spot.
Very hard to find a spot.
It's very hard to find a spot where you're on your own. Tomorrow I might have a decent shot. It is a holiday. It's President's Day. So we'll see what happens. I'm not going to be super upset if it's hugely overcrowded. Because El Dorado Park, it's always crowded. I mean, we've never been there on a day that there hasn't been 30 people fishing. I've been there one time when it was like that, and it's because I dipped out of work and went fishing. So. What? I don't work there anymore, so it's fine.
Oh.
So I actually just picked these guys up yesterday. These things will slay in the bay or anywhere off off the pier like that. This is a Big Hammer 4-inch swim bait. This is their shad color. So it's meant for salt water, but will work great in pond water with bass. My buddy Michael actually just turned me on to these, so we'll see how they work tomorrow, because I'm definitely going to be rigging them up. They pair best with the Big Hammer jig heads. So this is actually a white jig head with their red eye, just to give it a little more of a defined look in the water. And the water we fish here in Southern California is really stained. It's really murky. You guys will see tomorrow in the video that El Dorado Park, the water it's gross. I would not ever eat anything that came out of that water. We'll put it that way. So those are great. What else I got in here? Let's see. Just picked up a bunch of these actually. These are the Bass Pro Shop Tournament Edition lipless crankbaits. This is their Fire Tiger paint on here. Works great, has a lot of rattle. It's got a big oversized treble in the front and a little smaller one in the back. Crankbaits, in my opinion, are one of the best year-round lures to use. It depends on what brand you get. Really, actually, it doesn't depend on what brand you get. They're all work about the same. The Bass Pro ones are great. I am a big fan of this. I actually just picked up 2 of these. These are the Bill Lewis Rattle Trap. And as you can hear, there is a ton of rattles in this thing. Treble hooks are not so much oversized. They have a bigger gap in between the hook and the shaft of the hook, which is going to give you a better hookup ratio. It's got the fin in here to cut down on anything like that. It's got a really tight wobble, which is great. And I actually have another one as well. It's actually tied up on her pole. I don't feel like getting it, so I'm not going to show you, but it's pretty much the same exact thing. And just to give you a little look-see into here, this is all my lipless crankbaits, and like I said, I have a bunch of them, and I have more tied onto poles behind me. I'm a big fan of them. I do go through them very quickly because El Dorado Park, where I fish a lot, is normally full of grass, and if you aren't losing stuff at El Dorado or Eldo, which you'll hear me say a lot, you're not fishing it right. That's the place that you're gonna lose lures. So if you go fish there, expect to get stuck and have to either break off or cut off. So
very disappointing.
Yeah, funny story actually, and I'll tell you guys a little bit more about this in depth tomorrow. There was a spot at El Dorado Park where we'll fish tomorrow, where I hooked up with a 4-pound giant on I believe it was a Savage 3D bluegill. And for those of you that I don't have it anymore because someone lost it.
Sorry.
It almost looks like a crappie. It's got a treble hook on the bottom and a big hook. I think it's a 4-aught hook on top. And I hooked it in the roof of the mouth on the 4-aught on top, and was bringing my rod down to keep it from jumping, and it jumped, shook its head, and it was gone. And this was 4 feet from the shore, and that would have been my PB, and I was really upset about that. And it still haunts me to this day, and that was over a year ago. So, anyway, getting back into tackle box here. This is one of my favorite jigs to use. Has not produced yet, but I love the presentation that it gives. So I cannot remember who makes this. I'm not sure if it's a Booyah jig or a Strike King, but it sits up like that, and if you put a crawl trailer on that, when it floats down to the bottom and sits, the crawl will actually rear up like it's in an attack mode, and will trigger that reaction strike, trigger that bass to come in and just munch. I have that one. Actually, have one rigged up back here. I have these little Strike King jigs. They're actually mini jigs. The skirts are a little bit trash, as you see. I use them a lot. So, just bought this football head jig for a little later on in the spawn when they start eating crawdads when they're fully matured. So it's got that red and black look once that crawdad gets fully grown and a little bit bigger. For topwater in Southern California is a little different than it is everywhere else. Last year, there wasn't really a topwater season. We didn't have those boils. We didn't have those bass coming up and munching on frogs or the dragonflies that land on the surface. But this is a lunker hunt popper that I love the fact it's got the hair tail on the end. It's got a really good action. It's got a really good presentation on top of the water. For those of you that don't use lunker hunt, go check them out. They have some great stuff. Again, not sponsored by them, but I love their lures. They're great. I also have this lunker hunt poppin' frog. So as you can see, it's not so much red on the side anymore because I've used it a whole bunch. But it's got that hollow body, pinch down, exposes the hooks. Got those real long legs that give it a really good kicking motion when you pop it through. So it's a great thing to use. The last thing I'm going to touch on in this tackle box is this little guy here. I cannot for the life of me remember the name of the company that makes these, but I actually got these from my dad who got them for free. They had this thing going on, I believe it was Facebook.
Oh, wow.
Facebook or Instagram, that there's a new up-and-coming company that if you sent in or emailed in, they sent you 5 of these for free. It's really hard to find segmented swim baits down here that have this many segments and this kind of action. Even the 3D bluegill I mentioned earlier, it only had, 2 segments in it?
Yeah, those two.
Still had a great action to it, and for bigger bass, it was a big lure. It was probably about the size of my fist.
Yeah.
But this thing has a great action to it. It's got not tiny trebles, I would say mid-sized treble hooks on it. They give you that good hookup. And they don't really get stuck either. Just the way it moves kind of keeps it from getting stuck in that heavy grass and brush. So that is it for this tackle box. So while I'm looking over here, let me bring out the line that I use. So I've already talked about the Suffix Advanced Super line. This stuff is great. I actually have this run. Have this run on her. She has a reel on a jawbone rod back there that has this braid on it that's been on there for a while.
Maybe a year?
Close to a year, and it's still running great. And she's just done a lot. She's caught 2 fish on that thing. So, yes, she's caught different times. The main line that I use that is not braided is I love this P-Line CXX. It is extra strong. It's really abrasive. It's a thick diameter, but it does not break easy, and it stretches to where you have that ability to rip up that hook set, and it's not going to bust off. I mainly run 15-pound tests and a 12-pound test. I would recommend trying this out. It's inexpensive, it works, and it works, and it will keep you from breaking stuff off. Alright, moving on. There's not much in this tackle box, so we're going to keep moving on. This is like the spare parts that need to be fixed stuff, and buzz baits. A buzz bait's a buzz bait, there's really nothing that exciting about it. Alright, moving on to something that I love using is soft plastics. For those of you that are just getting into bass fishing, soft plastics is where you want to start. Let's see here. What do I got? You want to go ahead and take one of those out of there?
Sure.
One of the green pumpkin ones with the black and blue. All right. So these are your run-of-the-mill Senkos. They're actually called Yum Dingers. These are made by the Yum Lure Company. These are the main ones I use, mainly because they're cheap. These are $3 a pack, and they come with, I believe, 8.
Okay, you get a decent amount.
Yeah, and they work. Tried and true Texas Rig Senko. That's your ultimate finesse fishing when stuff gets slow. Something will eat this at some point.
Yeah.
So I have a ton of colors. I have. This is, I believe this is green pumpkin with a purple and green flake. That is black and blue.
Yeah.
I have green pumpkin in there with a chartreuse tail. I think there's one watermelon in there as well. Run alone, I was going to pick up some more soon. So, yeah, those things are great if you have low light conditions. Especially here, the water's real murky and it kind of matches the tone of the worm. But this little tail on the end here is gonna stick out, and something will see that it comes in. Oh, they'll come check it out and hopefully take a bite.
I actually caught my first fish on a green pumpkin Senko.
She did. So this here is your Senko with a curly tail on it. So actually, I bought these when I first started getting into bass fishing about 1.5 years ago, and have never used them. Mainly because they're a lot smaller. I use 4/0 hooks mainly, and a 4/0 hook going through this thing is just a little bit much. I just got some 2/0 hooks, so I might try this out tomorrow on maybe a drop shot. So the one thing I actually have used these for is I cut the little tail off here, probably about right where the curl starts, and I used it for bluegill bait. If you don't have any grubs or any small lures, small little baits, or you don't have any worms or anything like that, just go ahead and cut the tail off your curly tail, and it'll work pretty well. I've actually caught a few bluegill that way. So toss that back in there.
Watermelon with a red flake.
Yep. Another big thing that is great for Texas rigging or using as a trailer on a jig, I'll give this to my lovely wife to hold up here, is your crawfish creature bait. So as you can see, that one's got all the legs, got the claws up there, and it works great too because when that thing floats down, the claws are actually floated up like this. So when it floats, it sits in attack mode. Rig that up on a shaky head, or even Texas rigged, or even Carolina rigged. It's going to work great, especially you just got to make sure you're fishing in the right time of year. So right now, with it being pre-spawn, you want something that doesn't have a lot of movement. Well, honestly, with fishing here in SoCal, it's different. Because we don't have those really cold water temps. Like tomorrow we might, because the temperature's dropping down to 58 degrees. So water temps might hit 50s, mid-50s. But you don't want something with a whole lot of movement traditionally because the bass aren't as active. So you're going to want something with a less, like you don't want something with a whole lot of features on it. Like this, even with the legs, might be a bit much going down in the water. But rigging that up on that jig I showed you guys earlier, when it's going to sit up like that, it's going to be perfect. And pop that guy back in there. So here, this is actually an example of something that would be a little bit too much to fish this time of year. Okay, as you guys can see with this, you have these two up front, you got two more back here and this up here. This is way too much movement right now for bass. They're going to be real lethargic and they're just not really moving. And them seeing this coming down, they're like, screw it, I'm not going to eat it, it's not worth my time. It's literally what happens. So their minds are not focused on eating, they're focused on other adult bass things. Alright guys, so we're going to head on to the next one I got in here. And as you will see, I have a lot of soft plastics because it's the main thing that I fish. I love using crankbaits or jigs or spinner baits, buzz baits, frogs, whatever. But soft plastics is the main thing as a bass fisherman that you need to have an abundance of. Mainly because you will lose a lot of them. And it's good to have that variety. So like I said, I have green pumpkin, watermelon, black and blue in here. Something that I just picked up yesterday and I have not seen anyone else use these yet. I might dim the lights because I might get a little crazy up in here because these things are ridiculously bright. But pulling these out, bam! If y'all can't see that, it is the brightest Senko I have ever seen. So this is a 5-inch Yum Dinger chartreuse tinfoil. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. You want to give it a close up at the camera? So as you guys can see, it's a very chartreuse, that lime green color, that highlighter color, with a ton of silver flake. So yeah, this is going to show up like a disco ball under the water out there, which normally is a horrible thing. It's going to, I mean, it's a little bit excessive, I'm going to say that right now. But in the low light conditions, early morning, cloud cover, is not going to be as bad, and it's something different. I have not seen anyone at Eldorado Park fish these. I don't even know anyone that bought these, honestly. And I wanted to try something that was a little bit different, because at Eldo you see the same stuff. You see green pumpkin, watermelon, black and blue, red and blue, or red and black. And this is something that's totally different. So we're gonna give it a shot tomorrow. I'll probably drop shot it, Texas rig, and wacky rig this thing. Because wacky rigging this, I mean, for those of you that don't know, you're gonna stick your 3-4 out hook through it and just put it through right in the center. So when it's floating down, it's gonna do this going down. So it's a little bit different, different presentation, but I would say whatever you have, try it. It won't work 100% of the time, but you're never gonna know unless you try it. And that's all that's with bass fishing. Bass fishing is a giant chess game. It's not like trout fishing. You just throw out your line, your bait, and just chill. Bass fishing is a thinking man's sport. You have to think what the bass are doing, where they're bedding, where they're going, what the water temp is, what the conditions are like outside, what line you have on, what reel. I mean, there's so much that goes into it. It's not just, oh, let me go buy a bass rig and go throw it out. You're never going to catch it. Well, let me not say that. Anyone can catch something. But it's a thinking man's sport. So the more stuff that you, not so much the more stuff that you have, the more variety you have, the better chance you have of getting that bite. Give that to my Vanna White over here. So now we're going to dive into some creature baits I just picked up yesterday as well from good old Dick's Sporting Goods. Oh dang. Packages aren't real sturdy. Come on, Berkeley, get it together. Alright, so these are the Berkeley Havoc Pit Boss. This is actually a skeet grease design. So you can see it's got those 4 claws up front right there. That black and blue. This is really, really flaky up front, which is going to be great when those claws are coming down as they come close to the bottom. I'm a big fan of these things. They're great for jig trailers. I hear a lot of guys say, oh, they're too big for jig trailers. They're not. If you rig it on there right, it's going to work. If it matches the presentation of your jig, you should be good. We'll give this one to my wife to play with. This is all oily. She likes that stuff. That sounded really, really bad. I didn't take 2. So we're going to give this to my wife so she can show you guys a little bit more in depth as to what this actually looks like. So I would definitely suggest going and picking one of these up. Alright guys, so now that you can actually see that thing, that is what that looks like. That is a skeet grease design, Pit Boss, black and blue, with I believe it's silver and blue flake in there actually. I'm actually going to try and Texas rig that tomorrow and probably throw it on a shaky head. I might even throw it on my jig, depending on how things go. A few more things we're going to run through here real quick. Ooh, yes. Well, I'll pop one of those out, and I'll pop one of these out.
These are the Sweet Beavers Reaction Innovations.
Alright, Reaction Innovation, guys. I'm not sure where they're based.
Tramp Stamp. That's what it says on there. I promise, yes. Tramp Stamp.
Oh, alright. But they make some killer trailers. Their soft plastic game is lit. Yes, I know. You can ask her. I don't ever say that.
Ever.
I love these things. Mainly because these are 2-tone creature baits. So you have that black and blue on one side and that green pumpkin with black flake on the opposite. But those things are great. I've actually gotten multiple bites on this on a jig. Have not Texas rigged them. Might try it out tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. You want to take it up there? Alright guys, so as this comes into focus here, this is again the same thing, the Reaction Innovation Sweet Beaver. It's got that 2-tone look, that blue and black on one side, green pumpkin on the opposite. It's actually a great thing too because you can throw it with multiple different jigs. So if you have a black and blue jig or a green pumpkin jig or like that stained watercolor jig, you can throw it on either one because it's got that 2-tone side. It has great action going down, and it's just an all-around very good soft plastic. So as my wife is standing there, I'm actually going to hand her the next one. These are missile baits. These actually were picked up by my lovely wife. We went to Bass Pro, oh geez, about a few months ago now, and she picked out those purple, black, and blue jigs I showed you guys earlier, and picked these as her trailer. So these are, like I said, these are Missile Baits Baby D-Bomb. Baby D-Bomb. It's a candy grass color, they call it. So it's got that grass tone to it with, looks like some turquoise, green, and purple flake. It's very dark on the backside, so it's got that black presentation. My only gripe with these things is the claws on them. They're very, very thin, and they don't really give a very good presentation. But she has gotten bites. I've gotten bites with them, so I would give them a decent grade is to be used. And now we're gonna pause for the commercial interruption. All right, guys. Now we're back. She's back. We have gone through all my... Oh, I take that back. We have not gone through all my soft plastics. There is one left that I do recommend that you guys pick up. I'm not going to have my lovely Vanna White here do a close-up because this thing will never focus because it's white. The light's white. Not going to work. These are Zoom Zoom White Pearl Flukes. These things are great. I actually have one rigged up on one of my chatterbaits. The tail action these things have and the motion they give off is very, very like a small shad. I would recommend picking these up. I believe this is the 4-inch. Yes, this is the 4-inch. I would actually recommend getting some of the 5-inch, maybe even a 6-inch, if you're going to throw them like as a swim bait type of thing. Throw them maybe on a shaky head. So those will all work great. Alright, that is it for the soft plastic tackle box. On to the next one. Alright, so this is pretty much my hooks and my weights. I like to keep everything kind of separate because I do, like I said in the last video, I do pier fish. I will be doing some bay fishing this year. I do have to show you guys this one thing because I cannot tell you why the heck I bought these things. This is supposed to be a bass lure. For those of you that can see that, it is about 6 inches long and this thing weighs an ounce. It's a heavy, heavy swim bait.
Very heavy.
These are a Storm, product from Storm, the company Storm. Not sure on the name of the actual bait itself. If it wasn't so gargantuan, it would actually probably work. This actually this mainly made their whole hello. Mainly we'll be using this for fishing off my buddy's John boat later on this year. We go out and fish the oil rig because it's got a very good action. It's way too big to be fishing with bass. The thing, I mean, especially once we get into post spawn, this is bigger than some of the bass. It's really top heavy. If you don't have a heavy action rod, which I don't, well, actually, I take that back. I do now. It said it's a medium heavy, but it's a heavy rod. It's a Catfish Commando by Abu Garcia. That would work for this. Because that Catfish Commando, yes, it says Catfish, will be used for pure fishing and fishing off of John boats. Well, not so much fishing off of John boats. We're actually going to take my buddy's boat to fish the oil rig and go after some barracuda. So that's what this will be used for. So dive in. Actually, I will show you guys the rest of my spinner baits that I have in here. So as you can see, like I said before, if I can get it out here, they're all kind of dark. So this is that light green. This is actually, I bought this thing to match the color of the water we have at El Dorado Park. It's really dingy, really dark. What else we got here? Oh, hello. I bought this one just because my wife thought it looked cool. So that's, I will tell you right now, if you guys, for those of you out there that are married and are fishermen, and you take your wife with you to Bass Pro or Dick's or whatever sporting goods store you go to, and they tell you, oh, buy that one because it looks pretty, buy that one. Because every time she's done that, she's caught something. Or I've gotten bit on it. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's really dumb. Until you catch a fish. So listen to the women in your life because they know more than we do.
Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
Happy wife, happy fisherman.
There you go. So, and the last one, this is actually my wife's that she also picked out. This is the one she uses all the time. I tell them the story about the fish that you almost caught with this one.
Sure.
So we were again fishing El Dorado Park one day. It actually had just started dumping rain. No, take that back.
Right before.
It was just before it started pouring rain. And she's...
I want to tell the story.
Alright, you tell the story.
Now that I've taken over.
This is the white
we were fishing El Dorado, and I think I had my Daiwa.
You did, yeah, the Daiwa and the jumbo.
And I had this rigged up, and I threw it out, and nothing chomped. So I was reeling it back in, and as I was reeling it back in, a bass. It had to be maybe between 3 and 4 pounds. It was a decent sized one. Had caught onto it, and I was reeling it in, and my lovely husband decided to tell me to pull instead of continuing to reel it in. So what did I do?
Pause. She was about 3 feet from the shore. And the bass, it had the head of a 3 or 4 pounder, but this was post-spawn. So the bass had the body, it was probably weighed about 2 pounds. So it wasn't that big of a fish. The mouth was huge, which is where I could see how you would think it was huge. But like I said, post-spawn, the bass they're a lot smaller. I thought, I might just flip it onto the shore, And we realized, looking back on it, that the hook set wasn't great. The hooks on these spinnerbaits aren't the best hooks. They're cheap spinnerbaits. They're nothing fancy.
No.
So when you flipped it, the fish shook at the same time, and all you see is spinnerbait go, whoop.
No, that's not what happened.
Oh, that was mine.
Yeah. So,
dang it.
The fish was probably about 2 pounds, and I was reeling it in, and my husband decided to tell me to pull it out of the water instead of me continuing to reel it in. So what did I do? I pulled it out of the water right on shore, and as soon as I did that, he wiggled or whatever he did and fell onto the pavement and went boop 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 psh. And let's just say I was not a happy camper.
And then it started raining and she was even more pissed.
Yeah, so
basically the reason I told her to shore flip that thing was because she was so close to the shore already, and I didn't realize how much slack she had in her line. So what happened is when she flipped it, I was like, okay, she'll flip it and reel, it'll stay up. Well, she flipped it and didn't reel, and it plopped and the hook came loose, and end of story.
Bye-bye fish.
Yes, bye-bye fish. But you know what? The thing about El Dorado, and I will tell you guys this again tomorrow, is that lake has haunted me for a year and a half. I have fished there since it's been a while.
Last June, maybe?
No, last April.
Before. Yeah.
So it's been a while, and have hooked up with multiple fish, have been bitten by I can't tell you how many bites I've gotten, and have never actually landed one.
I have.
Story time. So my buddy Michael, who you guys might see tomorrow, he might be coming out with me tomorrow, took us fishing for the first time at El Dorado Park. Very first time she had ever been bass fishing, first time I had been out in forever, and it's kind of what sparked this whole thing. Anyway, we got there about 1 o'clock-ish, 2-ish.
Yeah.
Fished for a couple hours, hit a few main spots in the lake. Then my buddy's like, hey, there's this cove back here, let's go fish this cove. I'm like, alright, cool. So we all get there. It's a really small opening that you could really only fit maybe 2 people in, and we fit 3 of us in there. And there's this tree that hangs, I mean, put it this way, if you cast overhand, either you're going to get stuck on the tree or a rod's going to break on the tree. Mm-hmm. So my wife was over here on the far side, away from the tree, because she was still kind of learning how to cast and how to fish, really. And my buddy Mike was deep in it, and I was, right underneath the limb. So she's casting out, and she looks over at me. She goes, "Oh, I think I got a bite." And I look back at Mike, and I'm like, "Okay, well, are you sure?" She goes, "Well, I don't really know."
And I'm like, what I actually said was, I either caught the ground or I have a fish.
Oh. And I'm like, well, set the hook and see what happens. She sets it, she's reeling in. I'm like, all right, let's fish over this. I go to cast, boom. And I'm stuck in a tree as she's reeling in the first bass of our time bass fishing. So she caught one the first hour and a half we were out. Well, the first day we went fishing, she caught one. Wasn't a big guy. Actually, I will post a picture of it because I have it still in this video right now. Yeah, so like I said, not a giant, but hey, a fish is a fish. Especially here in SoCal where the fish don't get that big, a bass is a bass. Doesn't matter what size it is, it's just about having fun. So that was the story of her first fish and my skunkness at El Dorado, which hopefully will break tomorrow. Got high hopes. Alright, so getting back into my tackle box here. Like I said, this is mainly my hook tackle box of all my weights, my pier weights, set of pliers. Must have, always have 2, because you will lose one. I actually found these, which is the only reason I have 2.
I found those.
You did?
Yeah, they were sitting on a rock and I was like, hey, you need an extra pair of pliers?
Oh, that's when we were at Hemet.
Yeah.
She found them. They got found. Anyway. Alright. Staple of Texas rig bass fishing. Your bullet weight. I use a 3/16 ounce. Seems to be the perfect weight for the conditions we have here in Southern California. They're really hard to find though. I have been looking at Dick's because there's a Dick's Sporting Goods 5 minutes from my apartment that I go to a lot and they never have them. And we went to Bass Pro Shop last weekend and I bought like 50 of them because I go through them a lot because the line will break and they'll come off and whatever else. Another thing is these little guys, drop shot weights. You need to get some of these. I believe these are also a 3/16 ounce. 3/16 is this kind of perfect weight for a Texas rigger drop shot. It's enough to where you can get down to the bottom. This will give that little twitch up, and it's going to have the action that you need. What else I got in here? So these are actually given me by a buddy of mine. These are 2/0 offset worm hooks. Alright, so this is the 3/0, so this is a little size bigger. I know a lot of guys out there that bass fish use the EWG worm hooks, the offset. This is a 4/0. But I'm a big fan of this one. I just feel like it gets you that straight line when you put the Senko in. You don't have as much room for the worm to bend. But I'm a big fan of these. So I would suggest picking up some of those. Like I said, I have the 4/0 and 3/0 offset worm hook EWG extra wide gap. Those work great for your regular swim baits, such as this little bugger right here. I don't know why I just talked like that.
Who cares?
No, I don't. You guys will learn something about both of us. We don't really care about what people think. We're gonna do what we want to do. We love being us. Deal with it or go home.
Ooh, I'm just kidding.
Bang bang. Alright, so this is your lead-bellied 4/0 EWG hook. So these are great because it gets you that, you don't have to rig up an actual weight. This one is a little big, oh, hello. A little big for this guy, but it gives you that weight in there to where you don't have to use a bullet weight. So if you don't have a black bullet weight, because this will actually mesh with the stained water, this is a great thing to use because it will take it down there and it won't give you that presentation where the fish could see that weight on there. So that's a great thing to use. I actually just finally picked up some shaky heads. I'm going to be running these tomorrow. I'm not sure what I'm going to run them on yet, but these do have the little bait screw on there to keep your bait on the hook. To keep your bait on the jig head. I'm sorry. These are fished a lot by bass fishermen. This will be my first time actually running one. I'm looking forward to see how that goes. So we will keep you guys posted on how it runs tomorrow. Last but not least is these guys. If you guys pier fish, these little triangle weights are the way to go. Essentially, when you're fishing off a pier, you're basically rigging up a modified drop shot. So if you want to go ahead and hold that guy there. So you rig it up the same way you would a drop shot. You put your hook 8 to 10 inches above where you're going to tie on the weight. So I have 1 ounce and 2 ounce. Mainly stick with 1 ounce here because I fish off the Seal Beach Pier mainly. Especially during the summertime when there's less wind, not as much current. The 1 ounce is great because your bait's not going to move. When that wind does pick up or that current is whipping, we have a bad riptide. 2 ounce, maybe even a 3 ounce would be the way to go. I don't have any 3 ounces in my inventory over here. But that's what you mainly want to have, is those weights for pier fishing. It'll keep your bait stuck there. You'll be able to feel that thump when, well, we mainly have jacksmouth that hit. We have a few perch every once in a while. If you fish at night, you might get a barracuda, a real tiny barracuda. If you guys do catch a barracuda, please bring pliers and gloves, because you do not want to stick your hand near that thing's mouth. You'll lose some fingers.
Disclaimer.
There probably won't be anything here, but I'm gonna do that anyway. I think that's it, guys. That's what I have in my tackle box. I hope you guys enjoyed this little video with going through all my stuff. I do know, like I said, tomorrow I'm going fishing, so I'll have that video up for you guys hopefully sometime this week. Don't know if I will get both of these edited by tomorrow night. Do have a lot of stuff to do, plus I have to go back to work Tuesday. So, yeah. But keep coming, guys. Share this stuff, get it out there, so hopefully I can do this full time and not have to go to work. Yeah. So coming up, like I said, I'm going fishing tomorrow. We'll have that for you guys sometime this week. Next Saturday, I'm hoping to do this sometime next weekend. I don't know if it will be next Saturday, but I do have an MTB box coming. For those of you who don't know what MTB is, it is Mystery Tackle Box. I will be doing an unboxing for you guys. Again, not sponsored by anybody. Doing this strictly on my own. I paid for the box. I can really show you all the receipt if you want me to. So it's somewhere on my phone. So that'll be coming out to you guys. I'm excited about that. I'm looking forward to it. Plus I get free stuff. Well, it's not free. Take that back. Plus I get stuff that I don't have already. Alright guys, get out there and I'll see you next time.